Okay, a lot of you have been after me to do another video, and I just finished this figure here, bust. So I thought, well, we'll just do a video on painting this. Okay, so I'm going to let Judy squeeze in here. Get a little closer. Just roll forward. Alright, this piece is called the Skinner. And what I want to represent in this is he's kind of a grizzled looking guy. But all the colors that I'm going to be using, I hope, are going to be muted. Sort of grayish, dark, sinister. At least that's what I'm after. And most of you know that I do my pieces separate. Lots of them. Here's a new feather I just added today. I know I put a photograph on the Caricature Carver Facebook page, and this is added since then. And also I put some beading around his hat. This is going to be about the only bright thing on this carving. So let me get that hat off of there. And like I told you over the years, I do my heads. Get the cigarette out of there so you can see the outline of the top of the head here. To attach the hat, I do my head to where it goes up into the wood, under the surface of the hat. And that way it looks more realistic, I think. But it also, by doing the hat separate, or I orient the grain this way, by doing the hats separate, you get this knife edge on your hats, which really makes it look good. You know, it's not thick and clunky looking like if you do it all together. There's strength built into this thing. It's not going to, it's got a little buzz there, I got to get that taken care of. It's not going to break. I've had these things fall off the table and everything, and they don't break because the grain, like I say, the grain is running with the hat, so it's pretty strong. Get that off of there. Anyway, so I can take the three pieces off here, set the base off to the side. So I got three pieces here, four actually, counting that. And the way I just want to start off is I'm going to start off with the hat. So the first thing I got to do is fix that. So I'll be back here in just a second after I go get rid of that. Okay, back again. Alright, got rid of those snags. What happened there is I bumped this hat up against my flap sander wheel when I was lightly sanding the whole area. I like to lightly sand them so you can see it just gives it a nice... The chips are all there, but it takes off that real sharp edge, which picks up dirt if you don't take those things off of there. And the way I fit the head to the hat is I'll use a pencil, graphite pencil. I've carved away most of the pencil on the head, but I do it around the edges all over the interior here after I get the head cut to where I want it. And then by putting it on here with the dowel, get it set to where I want it, I can just take my hand and do that. And I'll get these little marks from the graphite showing me what material needs to be removed to lower that head into this depression, which is as far as I need it right now. See there, it's into that depression. So it's working good. Okay, set that. So I do the hat first. So what I'm going to do here is I made these little tools. I got a whole bunch of them here that I use when I'm painting. And I'm just going to take this, do it on this side here, and just screw this into the piece here. Far enough, just like that. And that gives me something to hold on to while I'm painting. Alright? Now, A lot of people, I see questions all the time on painting figures. Do you seal your carvings before you paint them? Well, I don't do that. Do you wash your carving before you paint it? No, I don't do that either. I use a clean glove, as clean as I can get one at the time. Granted, it might look dirty, but it's clean. And I don't go use any soap to wash this, because you go do, anytime you put a liquid on this wood, it's going to soak in. So the stuff that you put on it is going to stay in this wood. You might be able to rinse it off and think you got it all, but you don't. You can't get it all. It's because it's soaked into the wood. So what I do is, the only thing I use is water. And I'll take it. We're going to do the hat first. I bought this stupid spray bottle down at Walmart, naturally.
Man. Stop.
Anyway, it doesn't spray as good as that shampoo bottle I used to use, but that shampoo bottle got so old and cruddy looking I ditched it for this new one, but it doesn't spray as good as that old one. So anyway, I soak this down in water. Why do I do that? Well, when I paint, by having it damp, I'm not going to get any sharp lines, because it's going to bleed out a little bit. But I control that bleed out by these burnt lines. The colors won't crawl across that burnt line. They'll bleed out till they hit that line, and then they'll stop. All right? And also, because the wood is wet, it's going to pull that color that I apply to it down into the wood, which is what I want, because it's going to give me a nice warm look, because the color of the wood, as you see here, will come back up through that paint and show and give you a beautiful color. Not some thing where you paint a dry surface. You just get that paint right on top of the wood, and it's just sort of garish looking because it's so strong. Doing it this way is pulling that paint down into the wood and makes it nice and soft, which is what I like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this is black basically, but it's called licorice, and it's a black that I've been using for years and years and years. It's black, okay, but it has, I'm not sure what it has in it, what color it has in it, but it's a soft black. I don't think it's white, because white would turn it sort of gray. Don't ask me, I'm no chemical person. I can't tell you what's in there. Some guy over in China, no doubt, knows what's in there, because that's where that paint comes from. So I'm going to squeeze me out a bunch there, because it's going to take a lot. Get my brush. And just start laying the color on here. I don't want to get any black on the area that I'm going to bleed. On the area I'm going to bead, excuse me. And when you're painting, don't be a dabber. Load your brush up. You get you a good set of brushes. They're going to hold a lot of paint. So use them the way they were meant to be used. All right. I really load my brushes up. And then I really load the paint onto the wood. Now you can see when I'm painting, see how the color's dull? That's because that paint it's on the surface here, but it's also been pulled down inside, so it no longer looks shiny. The reason it's shiny right here is where the grain is, grains on this piece is like this right here. And that band across there is where the grain is even on the surface. Here the surface goes down, and back here it goes down the other way. So that's why that's shiny right there. Hope that's you can understand what I'm saying there. Some of you might be wondering, is that ever going to dry out? Well, it'll dry out. I ain't worried about that. See, you're coming across that area again right there. See, it doesn't absorb paint on here because there's no grain right there that it can absorb into it. But once you break it, and where you've carved into the wood this way and into the wood this way, it's going to absorb more because the pores are open. So to get those colors even, I'll probably have to, take an extra step later on after the color dries and touch those areas up because not as much paint has soaked in there. And I just wipe some away. You'll see on my brush, see how it doesn't really show right now. See how the brush on the end down here kind of comes to a point, come right there, turn it, and that goes away. But there's your point. That little point right there comes in real handy when you're outlining something like that. If you tried to do it this way, you're going to get in trouble. But as long as you remember about the way that point is pointing, you won't have any trouble. So you might think that if the less paint I have in my brush, the more control I'll have over putting it on. That's not necessarily the case. As you can see, I put a lot of paint in my brush, and I seem to be able to have much more control. Okay, now for the underside. You're probably bored by now watching me do this, so I'll go ahead and do this. We don't need to watch me do this. Okay, I've pretty well finished putting the paint on there. I'm just putting some more up here on top because the other's soaked in now. And I want a nice solid black color. Here's what it looks like underneath. I paint inside the rim here enough to where when I put the head back on there, you know, the color's going to go underneath. And so the black is done. Oh, what am I doing? Anyway, I got this brush cleaner out. I use this quite a bit. You can buy it down. Walmart sometimes has it. Hobby Lobby has it. But it's a good way to get your brushes clean. Just work it up into the back of that brush. I'm going to get that paint way out of there. Take care of your brush. Get a good quality brush and take good care of it, and it'll last you ages, years and years and years. I've had these brushes for a long time. Okay, that brush is clean. But my water's not, so I gotta go change my water. I'll be back here. Okay, hat is the basic colors on there. Get these things out of here. While the paint is still damp, I'm going to lighten it up in areas. This is a color I like to use. It's called parchment. It's sort of a off-white. See there, you can see the difference. Squeeze out a little here. Don't take much. And this time there it is. I'm gonna dab a little in here, just give me a little bit. And what I'm going to do is when the sun hits something, it's going to bleach it out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lighten the areas that get the most sun. So the thing that gets the most sun naturally is the top of this hat. This is called dry brushing. But I don't want that really dry look. I want it to blend in with that black. So you can see here where it's mixing with that black. That's what I want. I'm getting the dry brush look there on the edge of the chip, but I'm also getting that blend down into the deeper areas, which is what I like. Now, if you tried to do this with a wet brush, it just wouldn't work. Oh, there. Chair's squeaking. I'll do the outside of the hat brim. This is called dry rubbing. Alrighty. This is raw sienna. We're just giving the hat a little extra color. You don't want everything just stark black and white. You want a little color added into it. And let's see here. I want a little reddish color. This is burnt sienna. Well, that's a dry paint there. There's no method of this, it's just splashing it all over. There, that looks a little better. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good, huh? Okay, so we can set this aside to dry. I'm not going to do anything under here because this is all going to be in shadow, and that's what I want. I want it to be dark for this head. All right, so the hat, basic colors of the hat are finished. Now we can just set this aside and it'll dry. Looks good though, I like that. Okay, let's try the head next. Again, while that's soaking in, clean up my paint here a little bit. Wash my brush. Let that sit in there. Now, for the face, we're going to use red iron oxide and yellow ochre. This is antique gold, but it's basically yellow ochre. Squeeze me out some here. Squeeze me out a little here. And my brush. Okay, now, flesh colors. The way I paint in washes. I don't put paint on straight. Even on this black here, although I put the paint on straight, you can see that wood already coming through. So although it's on straight, it's still going to let the wood come back through. And flesh colors, to do my kind of technique, one of the most important colors of the flesh color in my pieces is the wood itself. You can see it has a yellowish cast to it. It almost looks like something that's kept in formaldehyde. If you've ever gone to well, probably in school, you probably saw jars of frogs and stuff like that in formaldehyde. They turn, all the blood goes out of them, and you're just left with this color. Okay? Let's spray some oil on here. So that yellow is going to have an effect on this color here. Now I mix the two paints together here, and I'm going to be painting in a wash, so I'm going to thin it out and start painting it. Now, one thing I want to do, I'm going to paint the whole head with this color, except for the hair, naturally, and the top part of the figure right up in here, because he wears his hat. The sun's not going to, and he wears his hat all the time. The sun's not going to hit this area up here, so it's going to have that farmer's tan look about it, which is what I like. So I don't want to ruin that, lose that detail. So basically, what's happening, because of the sun not reaching those areas, and the brim of the hat, which prevents the sun from reaching that area of the face, it gets darker as it goes down. That screw kind of split the wood there. That's all right. Pull me out some more paint here. Soak up. All right. Now, on his face, the sun is going to hit the high areas, so the high areas are going to be right here. And his nose. sure he drinks a lot, but that sun's also going to have an effect on the color of his nose. Hmm?
I'm a friend. You disappeared.
It's a little strong there, so I'll wipe it off. You can come back too, as long as everything's wet, you can come back and make corrections if you get too much in one area. Like here. So what I'll do, I'll just clean my brush out, dry it out a little, and then I can come back here and blend things in. I'll make his ears just a little darker up top here. Looks pretty good. You need some brown. Not that, not that. Yeah, that. This is a brown color. It's called asphaltum. Although you might think it asphaltum, it'd be the color of a road, but actually it's a real rich brown. Put that on there. Much better. That makes the cheeks still rosy, but they're not that red, which makes it look a lot better. And we can lightly do his lip here. I never carve a top lip. I don't think you really need to. Alright, now with a smaller brush, some of this brown. Now, come on, work. Just outline these deep areas here. And I'm sure in a minute I'm going to wash them all away. Even though I just put them on there. But up here, it will help. See the change? Just making those areas look deeper. That looks good. Okay. I'll wash that out. In here. Let me clean this up for the next color. Next color. This is Midnight Blue. Now this is Folk Art Midnight Blue. This is Deco Art Midnight Blue. Now if you could see these colors, see how much deeper blue this one is than that one there? This is the one, if you go down and buy some paint, look for this one, don't look for that one. You can get by with that one, but this one is the one you want, not this one. This one has white in it or gray or something. It just looks dull, lifeless. Where this one looks alive. I'm going to squeeze that a little bit, ain't going to take much. Get a little of that. See how thin the wash is here? See how it's hardly anything there, but it's enough, I think. Might take a little more. Looks good, huh? All those colors coming together. He looks kind of sinister, don't you think? Get me some more here. Now we're going to paint in the 5 o'clock shadow. A lot of people will take a V-gouge and they'll, to indicate the beard, you know, they'll gouge it all over the face. I don't want to do that. There's be that kind of deep there. That's a little too deep, so I'm going to wash away some of that. Again, like I say, as long as everything's damp, you can do that. But and that brown we put in there, remember we painted some brown in these things? It's still there, see, you can see it. Even it mixed with that blue. Darken that up in there. He's starting to look good. Don't forget the neck. Looking good. All right. Now for the hair. Not sure how much time we've used up, but I know it's a lot.
25.
Hmm?
25.
25? Oh, that's all right. That's not that much. Seems like longer. Probably gonna have to squeeze out some more brown paint here. Maybe not. Hope not. I'm going to take a little bit of this blue and I'm going to put it up here. Like I say, he's a grizzled little guy, so I want all these colors to look kind of dark. I'm going to take a little more blue. More blue. Paint some darker color down in the fold where it dips down. Wow, I like that. Okay, so to finish the head, we're going to use this parchment again. We're going to use a very, very small brush. Just right there. Change my glasses, put on me some magnifiers there. Judy and I were supposed to be on vacation up at Yellowstone right now. And here we find, oh shit. Sorry, excuse my obscenity there. Gotta get rid of that. Like I say, as long as everything's damp, you can do this. But if it's dry, forget about it, you're stuck. We canceled our reservation because of all the gas prices. It cost us a fortune to go up there because we would be pulling a trailer with us. But I guess it's what you call a God wink. Things changed for the better. We didn't go, and look what we missed. All that mess they have up there now. I pity those poor people that got caught in that, especially the people in Gardner. We stayed at a place outside of Gardner years back, and we spent a lot of time in Gardner. What am I looking for here? That's cigarette. There it is. Got that white left. I'll just go ahead and use it for a cigarette here. Spent a lot of time in Gardner. Stayed in an old historic log cabin for a week with our kids. We had a lot of fun. Okay. Now I'm going to use my trusty hairdryer here for a second. Just to set that color. Put on some black. Like that. Then come back with some white. Paint the edges of the cigarette. Little dabs of paint in the center. I want that real bright white. Looks good. how did that happen? Erase as much of that as I can. All right. Let's just take a page here. Okay, so finish the head. What we're going to do now is put the eye in. Now to do the eye, all I use is black. We'll start with a little dot first. Might make it a little larger. Now once this dries for the eye, I will come back after it's varnished and everything's dry. I will come back, I'll mix me up a little bit of clear epoxy. And with a toothpick, here's a toothpick, I will dip it in that epoxy and I will touch it right on this eye part right here. And what that'll do is that'll create a little circular globe on the eye in the black area, and it will look like a glass eye, and it'll sparkle. And the little highlight that it'll pick up from the light surrounding the carving, well, you move the carving, that little highlight will move too. It just looks so realistic. So, we've got a cigarette. Looks good. I can't put the hat on. I don't think I'll ever get it off again if I put it on there because the water will swell everything up. On the feather here that I made, let me take this off. This is just a piece of tin that I bent around the quill of the feather. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my white. You're probably saying, well, how did I do that feather? Well, this time I'll tell you in a minute. This time I'm actually going to use white instead of that other color. This is going to take a while to dry, so while that's happening, I think we'll stop the camera and come back. Okay, for the feather, this is a color I mixed up myself. It's dark, it's burnt umber, but I've mixed black with it. So this is an eagle feather. So this is the first color I put on. And I use my black. Have much black left, but I have enough. That's good. Here's my thing again. Let me dry it out here. Now these colors all look dead right now because there's no varnish on them. When I varnish this, all these colors are going to get a lot deeper and more crisp and everything. Okay, now for the feather, for the quill, I use this color called Mudstone. It's just sort of a neutral gray. First I'm going to paint the lower quill area. Use a little white to give it some life. Like that. Then I'll find my brush that I want to use, which is somewhere in here. This is a liner brush, and I've removed a lot of the what do you call it, hair off of it. There you go. See the fine point it gets? So I'm going to dip that in the water, and I'm going to bring out some of this mudstone. Actually bring out a little more. Didn't have much water in my brush. Come on, cooperate. I'll turn it over. And there's another little technique I'm going to use down here on the bottom with some modeling paste, okay? There's modeling paste inside here. It's the same as the paint I use. It's acrylic paint, basically. It's just thick acrylic paint. Pick me up a blob like that. Now, Native Americans like to be decorative. And if you've looked at their war bonnets and things like that, you will see that down at the base of the feathers, they always have some fluff, colored fluff. And that's what I'm doing right here. Not on the back side, just on this side here. Just trying to get a lot of this on there to look like it's bigger than the feather itself. And after you get your stuff on there the way you like it, take your brush and just stipple it to give it a texture. Wish I could get some stuff on the edge. There, that's better. That's good, and I'm just going to let this dry overnight and paint it a different color. And to make the veins on the, what's the word? You get as old as I am, you start forgetting words, and I'm having a hard time sometimes. to get the feather texture, what I do is I carve the feather, I dampen it, and I paint on a coating of this modeling paste, and then with a wet toothpick, just dip it in water, shake it off. While it's wet, I sit there and I do this. Just do a side at a time, and it gives you that carved look without having to carve it. I know someone will say, "Oh, it's cheating, look at that, he's cheating." No, I'm not. I'm being smart. Darken up this black here. Okay, so that's all we're going to be able to do this video. Let's leave that there. So I wish you could put him together. I see some little touch-up areas I need to take care of here real quick. Where'd my little brush go? Okay. Let's just see, I got my drill here. This hat's pretty well dry. It's still thin, but it's pretty dry. We'll just put this hat on his head. Comme ça. Give him his little cigarette. These spots you see right here, I evidently had something on my hand, fingers or whatever, and I sealed the surface. That's what it's a good example of what happens when you seal the surface of your wood before you paint it. See how the paint soaks?
Oh,
How the paint.
Jesus.
Well, I told you it wouldn't break. That cigarette's down there somewhere.
No, it isn't.
Hmm?
It's in his mouth.
What fell?
The hat. Well, anyway.
That's why you don't seal your
Cowboy's hat's not clean.
booger. That shows why I don't seal my wood before I paint it. Anyway, he looks pretty good, I think. Okay, so anyway, that's it for this video. We'll come back with another video, do the rest of it here, and put things together, okay? And so until then, I'll talk to you later.